Hey everyone, it's Keeley here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's soap making video where we're going to go and make my Rhassoul and pink clay facial soap bar with oat milk. Now, I've been really dragging my feet with this particular video. The footage is at least 6 months old because I'm in winter clothes, and it has been sitting there waiting for me to finalize the video, and I'm there. I'm ready to do it, which is why we're doing the intro at home, so I don't have to wait another week before I get down to the shop and get this one all finished. The reason I have been really dragging my feet about finally releasing this video is I wanted to load the facial soap bar recipes over on the DIY body care website, and for some reason I was really struggling to write these recipes up. I don't know why, I just really struggled to do it, but I now have the recipe all written up and available on the DIY body care website, along with the recipes for my combination skin facial soap bar and the oily skin one as well, if you are a soap maker and are interested in those recipes. So they are now all written up and available on the DIY body care website, and these soap bars are fully stocked on the Soy and Shea website and in store as well. But for now, what we're going to go and do is see how I make the Rhassoul and pink clay facial soap for dry and sensitive skin. Let's go. Okay, so let's jump into making the soap here. I've got all my oils down to room temperature. We've got olive oil, coconut oil, camellia oil, which comes from off of the tea plants. We've also got some shea butter in here and some castor oil. So this is a palm-free and vegan-friendly formula. So I'm just gonna get that oil off of here, pop it in my jug so we don't make too much mess. First thing I'm going to add in is some oat milk. Now, I like to just add it straight into my oils. I don't have a freezer to be able to freeze my oat milk and then put my sodium hydroxide on. So this is how I like to make mine. And by adding it into the oils rather than into my sodium hydroxide mix, it stops it from burning, it doesn't reheat it or anything like that. So I'm just going to give this a quick mix. Now, it's not actually going to really combine in there because milk is a water-based product. We put it into oils and water don't mix. Now what I'm going to do is add in my lye water. It's a little bit thicker than normal because I do discount the amount of water and make it an almost 1-for-1 lye solution. I do actually give the measurements in the recipe that I share. Let's go like that. Now I'm going to mix these two together, and then we're going to split it out and we're going to pop some clays into the different sections. Before I mix it up too much and separate it, in here I have got some chamomile extract. I'm going to add that in here and disperse it throughout my soap mix. This is actually quite a slow-moving recipe, so it can stand up to a fair amount of stick blending, which is really good. I'm going to pour off a fair amount, almost half, so I still have enough mixing room in that jug there. I do pretty much eyeball it, but you can be a lot more precise and measure things out if you want to. In this container here, I have got some Rhassoul clay, and I'm going to add it into the smaller amount. And then into the bigger amount, I have got some Australian pink clay. I choose to use the Australian pink clay over, say, the French one because it actually is slightly darker in colour. So I'm going to get these out the way and get that clay mixed in. Such a shame, when I first started making this soap, the Australian pink clay that we used to get had a lot more iron oxide in it, and I think that sort of mine where it was coming from is no longer coming from there, and they're getting it from somewhere else. It did actually come out on a lot of our suppliers that the Australian pink clay was not going to be nearly as dark as what it used to be. So now we don't get that beautiful pink that I used to get, but I'm still pretty happy with that colour. If you do decide that you want a bit more of a pink colour in there, you could add a little bit of calamine powder, or you could maybe even add in a little bit of Australian red clay to get that slightly deeper pink shade. But I'm pretty happy with how that is looking. I'm going to get my essential oil blend in here, and I do share this blend on the recipe. It's a mix of orange, lavender and a ylang-ylang, and it's just a really nice, calming, soothing blend of oils in there. Oh, it smells so good. Gonna get it mixed in, and then we're gonna grab the mold, and we're just gonna do a simple in the mold drop pour. There is nothing too fancy about my facial bars, because at the end of the day, you wanna use them on your face. And I know a lot of people do complain about decorative pieces and that they're difficult to use. We really don't want those on the face. So it is just gonna be basically drop pouring it into the mold. All right, so I've given this a really good knockdown, and I've just given it a bit of a shake to make sure that everything is nice and flat. As I said, because this is for the face, I just want these to be very simple bars, nice flat top, no sort of bits that are likely to stick in the skin. And I've just given it a knockdown because I saw a couple of little air bubbles in there, but that is looking pretty good so far. I am going to leave this one set up overnight, and we'll be back in a bit, and I'll show you how I'm going to cut it. All right, it's the next day. I've got the soap unmolded, and it has come up just a little bit pinker as it has saponified, which is really good. First thing I'm going to do is cut this into our slab. So I need to go this way with my little slab mold. I've got my slab cutter here. This is actually from Soap Cutter AU, but unfortunately I don't think Vinny is operating anymore because I can't seem to find them for sale on Etsy anymore. Hopefully we end up with somebody who might be able to make us some nice splitters like this in the future. But here is that cut. We've got some beautiful swirls going through there with that Rhassoul clay. So we've got that one. I should be able to get myself 4 little mini logs here. And then what we'll do once we've got these cut into our little mini logs, I will go and grab Ida, and we will then cut it into little bars. All right, so we've now got them all cut up into their little logs here. It's time to cut them into the individual bars. Now, because this is a facial soap, I do try to keep the bars quite small. Using big bars of soap on the face can be just a little bit awkward. So I do make these quite small little squares. So I know I can get 2 lined up on here, and out of each of them, I should be able to get an even 7 number of bars, as long as I've got it lined up perfectly, which we do. So through we go with Ida. And then there's not going to be a lot to them. They're just going to be very plain and simple on the inside because the colours are quite muted. You don't really get to see a lot of the swirl that's in there, but these facial bars are more about the actual ingredients that are in them as opposed to the design. Sorry, I had to stop because I had some people come into the shop and I wanted to put the music back on because it's a little bit quiet when you don't have music in a shop. But I'm going to finish getting these cut into the smaller bars here, and then I'm going to leave them on my bench for a couple of days before I then finish them off by tidying up all of the edges. And I when I do my facial bars, I make sure I do all of the edges. I have mentioned before, I tidy up the edges of my soaps when I make them so that they're not sharp on the skin, and you really don't want them to be sharp on the face on those first couple of uses. So I always make sure that my facial bars are tidied. Now when I did cut my mini loaves here, I do end up with this fairly chunky piece here. What I'll do is actually cut this down into little mini, even smaller little mini facial bars, and these will either go out in the odds and ends box, or occasionally I give them away as little freebies in orders as well, so people can have a try of them. Now I have been really slack, as I said at the beginning of this video, with making this soap bar, and hopefully for those that are waiting for it, it will be out about midway through August 2025 if you are waiting for this bar to be restocked. But there it is, that is my facial soap bar that I do. If you're interested in the recipe for this bar, it is one of the ones that I share over on the DIY Body Care website, along with a couple of other skin type facial soap bars as well. So I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me as I made my facial soap bar. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you then. Bye.